Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of iHomeschool Hangouts. I am Jimmy Lanley, co-owner of iHomeschool Network. We are so happy to have you with us tonight, whether you're watching live on the Google Plus event page, or whether you're watching live on YouTube, or maybe you're listening later to the recorded YouTube video or podcast. However you're consuming this broadcast, we're really glad to have you with us. As you know, our Hangouts are now at night on Thursdays at 8 o'clock Central and 9 p.m. Eastern. Of course, if you can't make it live, you can always leave your comments and questions ahead of time on the event page over on Google+. We hope you'll circle us on Google+ at Homeschool Network, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can find all of the videos. Every Hangout goes straight to our YouTube channel, so you won't miss anything. You can also catch us on Stitcher and iTunes for the podcast version, so you can listen while you're at the gym or while you're doing the dishes or maybe folding laundry. If you want to know about upcoming topics, you can go to ihomeschoolnetwork.com/hangouts. Also, if you'll subscribe to our newsletter, which you can do on our site, you'll get an email every month telling you what the monthly Hangouts will be. Our production manager tonight, as always, is the beautiful Marlene Griffith. Marlene, can you introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be here again this week. My name's Marlene Griffith, and you can find me blogging over at adiligent.heart.com. If you have any questions for these awesome ladies here on the panel tonight, just drop your questions in the event room, and we'll bring it in for them.
Thank you, Marlene. Now we're going to be shifting our focus to our special guest tonight, Tricia Hodges. And along with Tricia, we have a panel of other homeschool moms. But first, I want to give Tricia Hodges the floor to introduce herself. We're going to be talking about art, homeschooling, teaching art in your homeschool. And we're not just talking about art appreciation, but actually creating art, specifically drawing. So Tricia, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself and where people can find you online.
I'm Tricia Hodges, and you can find me at hodgepodge.me. Also, our art curriculum for all ages that my mother and I have put together is at southernhodgepodge.com. And my husband and I are also co-owners of the curriculumchoice.com. We have 5 children ranging in age from 6 up to 17, and we've been homeschooling about 14 years.
Thank you, Tricia. We're so glad to have you. It's great to see your beautiful smiling face, and you guys see the art behind Tricia. If you're watching, that's some of the art that her kids have created. We've got 3 homeschool moms from iHomeschool Network. They're all bloggers, and so when they introduce themselves, be listening for their domains where you can find them and connect with them. We're going to start with Alicia. Alicia, would you introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure. My name is Alicia Hutchinson, and I blog at aliciahutchinson.com. My blog name is Investing Love. I've been homeschooling for about 7 years now. I have 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls, and we love doing art in our homeschool, so I'm really excited to be here and talk about one of our favorite subjects.
Thank you for being with us, Alicia. Brenda, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Brenda from schoolingamonkey.com, where I blog about our homeschooling adventures with my 2 daughters, one in 3rd grade and one just about to be 2. And both of them love art, especially the messy art. So I'm particularly looking forward to talking about the messy art. But you can find us over there talking about a variety of things. But we're especially excited to be talking about art today with you all.
Glad to have you with us, Brenda. All right, Cindy, last but not least.
Hi, I'm Cindy West. I'm from OurJourneyWestward.com and ShiningDawnBooks.com, and I am a Charlotte Mason homeschooler, so we do lots of art, artist study, and I'm excited to talk about that with you tonight.
All right, great. So Brenda brought up one of our topics, which is about mess. We're just going to plunge right in and get super practical. And, you know, there are some kids that don't like getting dirty and don't like messes, but generally it's the moms who are irritated by the messes. So our first question is, how can mom get over her phobia and let your kids really enjoy art. So, I know there are some moms that are like, they don't allow Play-Doh in their home, or they don't allow glitter in their home, and they have these lines in the sand. And we're certainly not saying you have to use glitter or Play-Doh, but art can be messy. So we're going to let Tricia, our kind of art expert for the night, address the idea of getting over the mess issue in our heads.
Well, I think the key is practice, and that's practice for mom. And we like to do things simple first, just to practice that. And 5 minutes, just say, I can do this for 5 minutes. And start with crayons and build up to paint with water or something like that. Watercolors are not as messy. Also, baby wipes are your friend, as are paper plates to use for pallets, and positioning the trash can close to the table where you're working, towels all the way to the kitchen sink, paper towels, anything that is just makes it easy for you to practice really. And then if you can just turn your attention to the smiles on your children's faces, because that's what really it's all about.
Great tips there for us, Tricia. All right, who else on our panel has some thoughts about messy? Brenda, you mentioned that, so why don't you jump in there?
Yes, I used to be one of those moms that was like, no mess ever, because it was horrible, and we were one of the ones that didn't have Play-Doh, and my husband was like, I hate glitter. So we were definitely that family there for a while, but we've slowly been embracing the mess more, and I think, like Trisha said, starting slow really helps, starting with the objects and the supplies that weren't quite as messy. And then we too find that it's easier to contain the mess. We do a lot of our messy stuff on the floor, so we find that, like, if stuff gets knocked over, it doesn't go quite as far, it doesn't seem to be as quite a big mess. It's easier to spread out newspaper or towels or whatever you need. And then we also like to do some outdoors if possible. We like to use our porch for a lot of art too. So those are, and then we
Okay,
like
looks like
that
Brenda's
are old.
a little stuck there. Cindy or Alicia, do you have any suggestions? Those were really good, Brenda, about going outside or working on the porch or even on the floor. I love those. Alicia or Cindy, do you guys have any other mess tips?
I have one. We bought one of the plastic tablecloths that you can just kind of wipe down, and we would put that on a table or on the floor, on our porch, just wherever we're working, and that's just really easily wiped down with a wet cloth. And we also have a spot for all of our art stuff to go, so it can all just be piled in these buckets at the end, and if there's a little bit of goopy paint on a paint container or a paintbrush that didn't quite get dried off or something, then it's just no big deal, and those buckets get stuffed up on a shelf at the end of the day.
Great tip, great tip. Alicia?
Well, I just think I've never been super freaked out about messes in my house, and I mean, there are some things. I think it depends on the payout of the messy thing that you're using, because like we used to have these, they were Crayola something, they were almost like a oil pastel, but they were really, really soft, and they just made a huge mess, and the kids got frustrated because their pictures were all kind of messed together, and you couldn't really see, the colors kind of ran together, and so that really wasn't worth the mess. But like things like chalk pastels are kind of messy, but these beautiful drawings. So it's kind of like the payout. You have a little bit of mess, and you do have to, and we use the outside trick to, actually this afternoon I sent my daughter out to the front step to draw with chalk pastels because I just didn't have a lot of time to wipe everything down. I could just sweep off the front step. So I don't know, I think you kind of got to pick your battles, especially if you have a child that's really artistic and really wants to use those skills.
And I would say enlist the kids in cleaning up. You don't have to do it all. The cleanup should be part of the art process, and you should train them in that. And then we always had art smocks. So I would just take an old dress shirt of my husband's and have my daughter put it on backwards so she was all covered. And that seemed to really help because we're just messy people. And so, yeah, any kind of thing that we did, we would just get it on ourselves. So that really worked for us too. What about a child who is discouraged by the results? They look at their art and they feel like it's not as good as, the model or what they saw online or the teacher or the mom or brother or sister, and they feel discouraged by that and they just want to give in. So there's a little perfectionism there. Tricia, tell us how you handled those kids.
Well, you need to agree with the child that no, you can't do it exactly like the artist that we are copying. We are doing it in the style of this artist. If you look at Picasso, he drew very childlike, yet if you attempt to copy what he did, it's rather difficult. So that in itself is encouraging because we are each gifted in our own way. Practice, of course, is good, but also if you will child opportunity for feedback, like once a year we submit artwork to State Fair, and we've gotten ribbons that we display. Of course, there's the family refrigerator is also good. Sending things to grandparents, praise goes a long way with encouraging. And I think that even if there is a picture that a child does not particularly like, maybe they could try again in a day or two and just see how much they improve just with that practice.
Thank you, Tricia. Those are excellent tips for dealing with those perfectionist kids. Who else on the panel has some ideas for that? Nobody? Oh, Cindy? Okay.
I'll go for just a second.
Thanks.
One thing I've always done with my kids is just encourage that, hey, you did your best. This is awesome. And we have places around the house where we can hang work. And I just really make sure to do that. And it's in a really prominent place so that when grandparents or friends or whoever come over, they see it and they are usually commenting on it, which makes a huge deal in thinking that they maybe are not quite as bad as they think they are.
So let's switch that a little bit, and let's talk about the child who is a reluctant artist, the child that they really don't like art, it's really not their thing. So my question I want to add to this is A, should you force a kid who doesn't like art to draw and to create art, and why? And then how do you encourage them? We probably don't want to use the word force, but how can you encourage that reluctant artist? Alicia, or do you have any reluctant artists in your family?
I do. I have one, and it's funny because he does beautiful art, and I'm like, why would you, So I think it's just, I think you just always encourage them. I do think that art has, you're using such different areas of your brain, and I think it's really important. So I think you treat it as a class, like you'd probably never let your child just not do math. And so I think that that's how we do it. It's Friday, Fine Art Friday, and we're doing art. So, we don't force them, I guess, but, and like my daughter loves it, so she's easy, but, my two sons are like, I don't know, ours aren't very good, and, they do great art. So I think just keep encouraging them and just treat it like a class. So that's what we do.
Okay, great. Tricia, how do you encourage those reluctant or discouraged artists?
I agree with Alicia. It's so important to incorporate art in your days, even if it's just once a week, because it does activate that other part of the brain. And I have seen myself how this improves all the other subjects. But another thing that we do is we try to find a topic or a subject. My son loved trains, and he went through this phase where that's all he drew. So we would draw trains in all different types of medium, and we would try them in chalk pastels, and he would paint them with forever paints, is what he calls acrylics. And so I would just say find a passion and turn that art into that passion.
That's a great tip, Tricia. And I know we say this about writing and unit studies and things, and applying that to art is brilliant. Let the kid draw trains. There's nothing wrong with that. You can still get the art instruction in with any topic. So, Cindy, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Okay, I was just going to mention that art doesn't always have to be an art lesson. We do a lot of nature journaling in our house, and nature journaling is art, but they're not necessarily thinking that, they have to create this masterpiece in their nature journaling. Somewhere else that art has been big for us is in projects after unit studies, where they're creating a research project about something, and then they have to in turn draw or put together some kind of three-dimensional thing. And so art just kind of comes in those instances. And that's a neat way, if you have a child who's not necessarily wanting to do art lessons, to still get art in.
Thanks, Cindy. I want to just take a moment and let everyone know about Tricia Hodges' mother, Lucia, is it Haynes? Haynes, and she's called Nana on Trisha's blog. And Nana has these amazing oil pastel tutorials, and you can find these on hodgepodge.me, and you can find these also on southernhodgepodge.com. That's southernhodgepodge.com. The story starts as back in February of 2010, Nana was snowed in with the Hodges family, and all the snow is outside, but inside they were drawing lovely landscapes with puffy clouds, an ocean view, and a path to the beach. And that's how they passed the time being snowed in. And this is where these art tutorials started. Nana says, children are innately artists by themselves, and if given the opportunity and the delight of wielding a paintbrush, a child will create a masterpiece all on his own. There are no rules but one: praise, praise, praise. That, praising the children. She loves to remind each and every one of us that you are an artist. Tricia and Nana are truly passionate about helping you get over the art guilt and get started in small steps and grow a love of art in your home. So I want you to check out southernhodgepodge.com. Tricia, address the art guilt. What are you talking about there? What is that?
Well, one of the frequently asked questions, or one of the things that I get whenever I share a picture of our art times or something like that, is, well, I want my children to just come and do art in your house. Why can't, I can't do it just like you. But really, we just can't get caught up in the guilt of not doing it exactly like someone else. It's just providing that opportunity.
Great, exactly. We're not aiming for perfection, and it sounds like that's just a mother who's also being limited by perfectionism, and that's ridiculous. That should never limit what we do. So let's talk about scheduling. How do you fit art in? Because some people think of art as an extra, and we've kind of addressed that a little bit, and you guys can talk more about this if you want to say more about how art isn't an extra, that it is a foundation that we need. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you have more on that. But how do you fit it in to an already very busy schedule, and especially when you have multiple ages and you're busy teaching all these different grades? How do you fit art in? Let's start with Alicia.
Actually, I wrote a post on this today, and I posted it to the Hangout page, and I'm hoping I was on the right page. Kind of been on the wrong page all day today, but we actually, what we do is we try to do school Monday through Thursday, and kind of do the bulk of our school Monday through Thursday, and so Friday we try to keep it open. Pretty open. I kind of save that day to fit in projects that are more lengthy that we for history or science, and also we have Fine Art Friday on Fridays, and so it doesn't usually take more than an hour. So we get ready for our day like we do our regular school day, and then we usually do a little bit of logic and maybe a history something or another, and then we just go right into our art lesson. And I kind of do mine in units, so like every month we kind of study a different artist or a different style of artistry. That's kind of how we fit it in, and I just try to keep it simple. I think that's the trick for us, is to keep it simple. Common supplies that you don't need to order or something like that. that's kind of how we do it, just keeping it simple and scheduling it in and not kind of just tacking it on top of a whole bunch of other stuff that you've already got to do.
Those are great tips. I think keeping it simple is one of the biggest messages we can say today, and I know Tricia is behind that because, again, it's that perfectionism, it's that getting overwhelmed. You know, if you spend 15 minutes coloring with crayons, it's better than nothing. It's a start, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So, great message, Alicia. Cindy, tell us your thoughts on managing multiple kids.
Okay, it's kind of the same as Alicia. Charlotte Mason Homeschooling, we just focus on an artist per month for us. In some Charlotte Mason homeschools, they would do per semester. But again, just like her, we pretty much take a Friday and we have sort of a fine arts Friday, and all the kids are there together and we're all working on the same project. And I'm just encouraging everybody with their own skills. And I know Trisha is really awesome at just having everybody at the same table, and everybody's project looks different, and that's perfectly acceptable. So multiple ages and art fit perfectly together.
Okay, great point. That's right, because everyone's result's going to be different anyway, so the age thing doesn't really matter. So, Brenda?
Yeah, we do a sort of a different approach. We do art study probably every couple weeks. We'll try a different method. But what I do for my kids is I create a sort of artist toolkit with different supplies that they can use on their own. So they have access to that box at any time of day, and so often that's what they'll be doing for their free play is doing art as just part of their like fun activity for the day, which I vastly prefer to watching a movie or video games. But so I have an age-appropriate box, and I think I posted a link to the basic idea of what we did on the Hangout page.
And where can people find that? Because if some people are listening on a podcast, so tell us your domain name.
That is at schoolingamonkey.com.
Okay, and I'm sure you have a search function, and what would they search for on that? What do you call those?
You could probably search for Art Toolbox.
Art Toolbox. Okay, I love that idea. I think that's great, of just giving them the tools and letting the kids run with it.
And I have one for my older daughter who's 8, and then I also have one for my toddler who's 2. She's not allowed to do unsupervised, but she has her own set of toddler-approved tools.
That's great. I love that. Even at 2, she's got her own artist toolbox. That's great. So, Tricia, we definitely want to hear from you on this one. We know you have 5 children, so you're a master at this, which I know you call it lasagna layers of teaching multiple ages.
Yes, I wouldn't say I'm a master of anything, but we have what we call an art box. So it's similar to what these other ladies have said, but it's right here in our pantry by our kitchen table. And so we periodically put new things in there. And of course, they don't have access to it all the time, but it is things like paint dot things that are easy to get out and they're not too messy. We have blank canvases, just simple sketch pads from the local store, just things that are easy to get out. And then I do think that at first I was rather intimidated by the word artist study, and so I do want to encourage everybody, you don't have to start and just get right into an artist study. What you're doing is you're growing this love of art, and that's what I was talking about with the art guild. You don't have to just jump right in and do all these in-depth type things. Start small and draw circles and enjoy, and you will see that you'll just naturally go, okay, well, we're ready to study this artist and we want to learn more because we have practiced and we know.
Great, Tricia. Thank you. Cindy?
We have taken the art box just one step further with older kids, and sometimes I will put out a book about a particular artist. Let's say Renoir, I don't know. And so they've got this book where they're allowed to just pick it up, read the book, and then I will have a paper or 2 out of a project that they might be able to try to, maybe a a print that they're going to try to recreate. So it's almost like this little table that we have set out with a book to read about an artist, a little project they might consider, and then some different art mediums like markers or watercolors or pastels or just whatever. And I kind of change those things out once in a while. So it's almost like a little artist study learning center that's for independent learning. Those are not always out, but it's a really, really good winter activity to keep them busy.
Okay, that's great. So thinking about this, okay, great. Thank you, Marlene. Marlene just added a link to the event page, and you guys can find this at southernhodgepodge.me. Let me say that again, southernhodgepodge.me. If you're listening, I know you don't really have access to the event page, but look up southernhodgepodge.me, and you're going to be looking for the Getting Started with Chalk Pastels book. This is a free ebook, right, Tricia? Okay, tell us a little bit about how they get that book and what's involved, and why is that a good starting point for someone who wants to begin incorporating art into their homeschool?
Well, another one of the questions I get is, well, how in the world do I get started? I don't know anything about chalk pastels. So we put together this small ebook, and it has some starter tutorials, which include video tutorials, so that those that learn best that way can enjoy them. There are also written tutorials. We give a list of the very short supply list that you need to start with, and those are just 3 things, and that is paper, that can be printer paper, or you can get special pastel paper, a set of chalk pastels, which you can get at your local craft store for less than $10, and we use 1 set for the whole family, and then the tutorials. There are also a few articles in there that will just encourage you in how to get started with little ones, where to start with. Landscapes are usually the easiest thing to start with. So all of that is found at southernhodgepodge.com under the
Okay, we got a little frozen, and I apologize. It's southernhodgepodge.com, and I've been saying southernhodgepodge.me, and I'm sorry I got your extensions mixed up. Okay, Tricia, I think you're not frozen now, so you can repeat that.
about the free ebook. It was all about there's free video tutorials
Oh, we
and
heard that
starting
part.
points for chalk pastels, including a simple supply and articles.
Okay, that's good. Marlene, am I frozen? No, okay. Somebody's frozen. All right. Okay, I have a question for you, Tricia, because you just said your whole family, you have 5 children. You said your whole family shared 1 box of art, chalk pastels, and my mind just kind of got blown when you said that. So how do you manage that when all of you are drawing the same thing and you all need the red one? How do you do that?
That's funny you ask, because we break the stick and we make smaller pieces. And in one tutorial, video tutorial, we had that way. And if you find that you enjoy this medium, of course, there's the next step up. You can get the 100 pack, which we do use that now, but you can get the pack of just 10 or 12 and just share amongst yourselves.
Okay, that's a great tip. So every kid doesn't have to have their own set. That's a great point, and that's going to lead us into our next topic, which is how to do art economically. You know, as a mother of an artist, my daughter is 15 and she is an artist, and I know that I spend a fortune on art supplies. Now, obviously, at this age, she's very invested in it, and I'm willing to spend more on really nice supplies. But when you're starting out and when your children are younger, there's no need to go to an art store and buy your art supplies. You can go to a craft store or even just your regular, you know, Walmart, Kmart, Target, whatever, and get your cheaper supplies. So give us some tips there on being frugal while you're encouraging art. Brenda, do you have some thoughts on that one?
I do have thoughts. I actually love using like recycled materials, like in addition to like your basic inexpensive supplies like paint and crayons. I love using like the mixed media stuff, we've found some pretty bizarre items from our kitchen. I think we used a spatula one time.
Alicia, Brenda's
Huge amount you
frozen.
can find it.
Alicia, do you have something to share about the frugal aspect of art?
Well, what we do is I buy a lot of my stuff at Michael's, and they always have a 50 or 40% off coupon, and so we do that a lot. We also use Amazon, and you can get free shipping on that a lot. And if you're an Amazon Prime member, then you can get good deals and free shipping on that too. But yeah, we don't spend a lot of money on our art supplies, and I try to teach my kids that it is money, and if you're gonna do a project, be respectful for those supplies and don't just trash the crayons and and the oil pastels and stuff. So it seems we stock up at the beginning of the year, and it seems to last us all year long, and we do a lot of art. So I think just watch coupons, watch sales, and just kind of do your best to conserve when you can.
Sorry, had a little button problem there. Trisha, love to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, of course, I'm going to say chalk pastels because you can get one box and you can share it with the family, and there are just multiple colors that you can use. But also, I had mentioned earlier paint with water and watercolors. I mean, you really can find these things fairly easily just when you go to the grocery store, and you won't have to make a special trip anywhere. You can also ask for these things for gifts. Christmas is coming, and last year my mother got us those gigantic things of acrylic paints, and they're just these big jugs, and we bring them out and we make our palettes, and then we go put them back in the laundry room. So that is one of the things that we do. We ask for new things for the art box.
Okay, great. Any other frugal tips out there? Cindy?
Walmart. And you won't believe that I have found some of our art supplies at used curriculum sales at the end of the year. It's crazy. That's my tip.
That's a good idea. Yeah, and thrift stores maybe too, sometimes, some partially used supplies. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, good. So I would say, start small, and as your kids, love it more and get drawn to it more, then you can invest in better supplies and more supplies for sure. So I apologize, Trisha, for getting your sites wrong. I want to make sure I say this right. It is hodgepodge.me and southernhodgepodge.com. Yes. Okay, so hodgepodge.me and southernhodgepodge.com, and that's where you can find these art lessons and helpful homeschool habits. You can find a full art curriculum for all ages that Trisha and her mother, Alicia, have written, and that's at southernhodgepodge.com. Be sure to subscribe to hodgepodge.me for some free tutorials. Trisha has a listing of over 100 free tutorials there. So you'll definitely want to get that at southernhodgepodge.com. When you sign up, you're also going to get a 15% discount code off your first purchase. But that first ebook, that Getting Started book, is going to be a lot to help you get started. It's not like just a little bit and then you have to buy more to get more information. It's really wonderful. But then you'll see her other guides are thematic. So she'll have a book about a certain topic, drawing a certain thing, and she's got different seasonal topics. Like I know she has a fall book. Is that right, Trisha? You have like fall drawing. So that would be perfect for right now. You can get that book, and it will walk you through several different pieces of art and how to draw them step by step. And I believe you will find success when you use these. Have any of the ladies here on the panel used some of Trisha's art tutorials? Okay, Alicia, tell us how they work and what kind of results you see and how your kids feel about them.
Well, we love using your books, Trisha, so thank you. We've used several of them. And actually, my daughter we used whenever Shark Week was, now I don't remember, but we used she had a book on sharks, and I thought for sure my boys, that would be like their favorite, and they loved it. But my daughter was obsessed, and so she has drawn so many shark drawings. And just the other day, I think it was yesterday or the day before, she drew another shark. But I love it because the chalk pastels are beautiful. They just create these beautiful drawings that you just can't get from other mediums. And so I think that alone will get your kids really into it, because they are drawing these things and they can kind of blend the colors, and it's just this soft, pretty, just this filling, and it's like, wow, that's really, really beautiful. So we love her books. They're really, really great.
Great. Cindy, tell us your impression of them.
We love Trisha's stuff. My kids just really look forward to those lessons. And you know why? It's because they're so easy. The tutorials are easy. The chalk pastels are easy to use. And my kids, whether they are great artists or not, always create great artwork. And I love that, and Trisha will probably have to get after me for using my finger and saying that we can mix the colors to make our pictures look more professional. So she can correct me on the terminology there. But those lessons are fabulous. And the tutorials are short, very easy to implement.
Okay, that's a good point for busy homeschool moms, right? This is not a full-blown unit study. This is just a little thing you can add on at lunchtime or after lunch or before lunch or on the Fine Art Friday or whatever. It's very doable. And also, I want everybody to know that Tricia loves to feature your finished artwork on her Instagram account, Facebook, and other social media. So all you have to do is, when you draw something from one of her tutorials, free or purchased, tag Hodgepodge Mom on any social media platform, or you can email a photo via the contact form at hodgepodge.me, or you can add it to the Facebook page, Hodgepodge Facebook page, and you can use the hashtag you are an artist. And Trisha will see that, and she will give you some social media love and reshare it, and she will praise you, because that's what Nana told her to do. And so you can be part of this, and Nana has it right about that. So ladies, what other thoughts? You know, we always end the broadcast and then we think of 5 other things we could have said. So I'm just going to open the floor here for anything else that didn't get said that you want to say. Trisha, I'll let you start.
That you are an artist is so true. And because each of us were just given a talent, whether it is with chalk pastels or it is with photography or it is with computer technology. We just have to provide that opportunity and just grow that love.
That's a great point. And when our kids are little, we don't know what they're going to like. And the only way we're going to know what they're gifted at is to give them opportunities. And that's why it's so important to make sure our kids have opportunities to try music, art, sports, you know, all kinds of different things. So other thoughts out there? Cindy, you have some thoughts?
I was just going to say, like Trisha, just do it. Make sure you give time and encourage your kids. Don't think of art as a second, is something that you do if everything else gets done, because a lot of times we can really encourage our kids to learn the other stuff better when we take those breaks for the things that are a little bit more relaxing, and left brain, right brain, whichever brain your art side is using.
I totally agree with you, and I have found that you know, when I did drawing with my daughter, we took lessons sometimes, and sometimes we would just do it at home. It put me in a totally different mental state. It's sort of like when you exercise and you get those bursts of creativity. I mean, it's not like that, but it's something is activated in your brain, and there's something about sitting and focusing on art that it just feels really good. It feels really different from reading or from being on the internet or even from having a conversation. And it's a great feeling. It's very relaxing. And so I really liked the combination of having music playing while I was doing art. I found that that was just super relaxing. And so I would imagine, you know, it's something we could all benefit from, especially special needs kids who maybe deal with anxiety or hyperactivity, try it. It might be something that would kind of calm them and give them some emotional well-being. That we all need that. I know I do. Brenda or Alicia, do you guys have any last thoughts?
I think I would just say, like Cindy said, definitely schedule it in, and don't think like, oh, I'll just I'll do it when we have time, because you're never going to have time. There's always something that's filling up your schedule. So just schedule it in and just plan on it, and just try lots of different things. Especially if you have a reluctant artist, try working with clay and sculpting and watercolors and oil pastels and chalk pastels and even origami and paper crafts and mixed media. So there's an endless, list of art, and just try different things until your kid finds what they love, because there is something that they're gonna love, if you keep at it. But definitely do it.
Great. That's a really good tip about sculpting. Maybe boys would prefer something with a little tool that they're cutting, even whittling or carving. All these kinds of things are art. So it's a great point. It doesn't have to be with a brush or a crayon or a pencil. It can be different. It can be using our hands, or it could be using some other kind of tool. I think she's frozen. No, she's not frozen.
Yes, I have thoughts. I just wasn't sure. Everything was freezing, so hopefully you can hear what I say this time. But yeah, I agree with all the other ladies. Art doesn't have to be complicated, but yeah, scheduling it, making it a priority, I think is important. And another thing too that my girls have fun with every now and then is like performing arts. Sometimes they like to put on plays or make up dances or something, and that's a whole other type of art. But we love looking at so many different types of art. Their favorite right now is probably like the really messy arts with like shaving cream or slime or anything that they can get their hands on is their favorite. But they're on the younger side too, so I think the hands-on might be better for the younger. But just, it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to even be something that you necessarily would see in a museum. Just getting to work with different mediums is all the kids need to do, and they'll love it, and they'll be better for it too.
Great, thank you. So again, I want to encourage everyone to check out southernhodgepodge.com, where you can find out more about the free art tutorial ebook. I want to thank our audience for joining us tonight. We so appreciate you spending your time with us. If you have any questions, you can come over to iHomeschool Network on Google+. You could leave some questions on the event page. You could also reach out to Trisha via social media or southernhodgepodge.com. Please circle iHomeschool Network on Google+, subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher, so that you can keep track of all the great content that we have coming out for you about homeschooling. And this is going to wrap up our hangout about You Can Teach Homeschool Art. And remember that hashtag, Tricia, what was that hashtag again?
You are an artist.
All right, I want everyone to unmute, and we're going to end with that. We're all going to say that on the count of 3. Okay, unmute. Marlene, you have to do it too. You have to do it too. Okay, here we go. We're going to say you are an artist on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
You are an artist.
Good night, everybody.